now we have a whole debate right now about what is the preferred waffle.
I mean, it's tough. You put them in the toaster. The ones in the back are crispier than the ones in the front.
Is this not even like a waffle you made? Is this like a goddamn Eggo?
This is an Eggo.
Oh my God.
I'll try all of this over an Eggo.
Oh, that's over a goddamn Eggo. Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of This is Revolution Podcast. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, please hit like, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you are alerted whenever we go live. We're constantly adding cross streams with other channels and adding new shows. Speaking of new shows, one show that has been doing quite well for us, that a friend of mine listened to the other day and hit me up. She said, I just checked out White Guy Wednesday. It's really interesting. We're doing another White Guy Wednesday tomorrow. Jean, Kuba, and Varn will be back with another fun-filled romp into the alabaster regions of the urban core of the internet, that is TIR. The gentrification, the gentrified area of TIR, which is White Guy Wednesday. Then we'll be back Thursday with Ryan Grimm, where MT and I will try to make him just as uncomfortable as Brianna Joy Gray and Gashama Sawan. I'm excited for that. And happy belated Philippine Independence Day. Hopefully, my children are celebrated. We'll be going to the champagne room tonight. We want to hear how you guys feel about the topic at hand. And then MT wants to talk to you guys about your music preferences. She wants to have a music discussion with the people. So I'm excited about that. So we're going to open up the phone lines for the champagne room. So if you haven't done it yet, you have the means and you feel so inclined, become a patron for as little as $3 a month or $30 for the year. You can have access to champagne rooms past and present. You can be in the live audience for the Mau Mau Hour, Pascal Robert, and to join us for movie night. And I think I found a movie that I want to do for movie night. It's going to be a hard one to get if Jeremy doesn't have it already. But I mentioned it at the live thing that we did at the University of California, Irvine this past Wednesday. So I will be excited to play that for an audience. I looked for it. It's nowhere on the internet. There's like clips of it on YouTube with the entire movie. You can't stream it. You actually have to own the DVD. There's quite a few movies like that we've been searching for that we actually had to buy DVDs for, which is even more strange because none of us have DVD players. So this should be a fun movie night. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's bring in the TIR crew. First and foremost, he is my homie, my dog. He's the man of the Mau Mau Hour. He is the Pascal Robert.
Peace and greetings to the chat. Peace and greetings to the audience. Peace and greetings, Jason Miles.
Pascal did a wonderful job filling in on Saturday while I went up north to hang out with my young daughter, who's an old woman now. But I did watch a little bit of the show. I jumped in towards the end. That was literally in the city where you guys were talking about all the stuff. And we don't think anyone mentioned it on there. There actually had been a bit of a crackdown right before I got down there. So it was a lot better than it was the last time I was there in December, to be honest with you. You guys have seen what that area looks like, because I've been on the phone with you guys when me and Phoenix are walking up and down the street. And you guys are like, goddamn. And she is the faceless voice of reason, Eggo waffle connoisseur, M. Tucson.
Crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. A little hungry, but I'm okay.
You hungry now after that?
I was just getting started.
Precious timing.
Do you have the 4 toaster? So you popped in 4 Eggos, or those mini Eggos? Did you microwave the Eggos?
It was a toaster
oven. Ah, so you put 4 Eggos in the toaster oven. Did you butter them? Did you pre-butter them?
No,
Did you put butter on cold, let it melt on, or did you take it out hoping the Eggo would be hot enough for it to melt? Or did you make an Eggo butter sandwich? What did you do? I want to know.
I never heard of pre-buttering it. This is kind of like, wow, life-changing. No, I put them in plain. I actually put 6 in.
Jesus Christ.
Because
double racked it? You double racked it.
It wasn't even a double rack. I had to overlap them. They are not the size they used to be.
That's what she said.
Wow, I have taught you guys well. Never been more proud of you two. Good job. It's nice.
And this is where we are, America. This is where we are. Pascal Robert has thrown it. That's what she said. Pascal, do you pre-butter your toaster oven waffles?
I don't, because usually the toaster I use is the conventional standing toaster. So therefore, if I try to pre-butter them, I'm getting electricity problems all over my house.
I gotta show you guys how to avoid a fire.
All
and how to
right.
pre-butter.
Pre-butter on a standing 2-rack toaster, my friend?
You have no idea.
Those are the things they teach you in Richmond. You grow up in the hood.
Pascal has never eaten a fried bologna sandwich.
No, don't say that. I'm not going to say that.
Pascal, I shall not.
I never grew up eating fried bologna sandwiches. When I was in law school, I might have.
When you were in law school, you definitely threw that shit out. He was like Gordon Ramsay, throwing food all over the kitchen.
It's raw.
Is that bologna?
No.
It will kill someone.
Just like this, like, oh.
Oh.
Heavens to Megatron. Is it white bread you're eating it on too? My goodness.
Don't
My
let it
mom
touch
would
me.
never. Oh my God, is this how the help eats? What's next, spaghetti?
With his parasol.
With his parasol, mint julep in hand. I bid you good day, sir.
What's a good day?
Can you or Pascal is making fried bologna finger sandwiches
With watercress.
with watercress. I added cucumber for flavor. Today we'll be drinking the blue Kool-Aid. It's for special occasions.
To match my shirt. Got to coordinate.
Do you remember being a little kid and mixing Kool-Aid flavors thinking you was like a real chef?
Mm.
Kool-Aid. What's with Kool-Aid?
What's this Kool-Aid?
Well, your juice is from concentrate there. I say, hood boy. Tell me more of your stories. They fascinate me.
I remember my dad mixed Hawaiian Punch and ginger ale together, or Sprite.
Hawaiian Punch. I was getting down with the Hawaiian Punch.
Hawaiian Punch and Sprite, and I thought he was a wizard. I was just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life.
My young son is 4, and his grandfather gives him 7-Up with a little bit of, they dilute it with a little bit of water, and that's called G-Dad juice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not Jesus juice.
No.
But G-Dad juice, and I think it's adorable. We're not going to let the show go off the rails like we did last time.
No, we're not.
Recently, it was announced that longtime cultural commentator, political pundit, actor, house music enthusiast, Cornel West was throwing his hat in the ring as a candidate for the highest office in the land, the United States presidency. West, who was the subject of scorn during the late aughts, had fallen out of favor with many in the Black community for his harsh criticisms of the first Black president, Barack Obama. He was able to have a bit of a redemption during the U.S. political awakening, that is the 2016 and 2020 presidential campaigns, with his support for Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Should we be excited to see a progressive voice like West run for office? Like Trump in 2016, he, West, has built a 40-plus year career as a public persona. But unlike Trump, he didn't advertise himself as a self-made billionaire who understood the realm of politics despite his lack of experience, because, you know, he paid off politicians to make sure he could get things done. It's been well documented that Trump used his cultural capital and populist rhetoric to rise from the television screen to the White House. Can Cornel West do the same thing? You know, Pascal, he was an actor too. He was in the Matrix movies.
He was. I have some disclosures I think I have to make relative to Cornel West. I think that you and I think we have not different opinions, but I think that we come from a different vantage point. Is that one of the things I think that inures me to have a bit of an affection for Dr. West is that when my mentors, Bruce and Glenn, early on started Black Agenda Report, they were getting destroyed in the Black community by people who were their close friends and allies for challenging the salience of this notion that the first Black president was going to be some kind of hero and salvation for Black people. Mm-hmm. And frankly, one of the few people that gave them solace was Cornel West, and who was really willing to stand with them at that time. So I've interacted with West well before that, while I was in law school and other times as well. But he did stand with them when they were not getting much affection from members of the Black community for ultimately being right and realizing that Obama was nothing but a neoliberal token in terms of his presidential ability. So that being said, how I look at Dr. West in this presidential run, as fondly as I've viewed him, and as much I've written, I've actually wrote a piece about him in the Huffington Post in 2010.
Mhm.
it's hard for me to understand what exactly he's bringing to the table that differ from the Bernie Sanders narrative. I understand that he's trying to say that he's talking about clarifying to people that the neoliberal corporate Democrats are not effectively enough to defeat the neo-fascist right. But at the same time, I think Jason Miles and his critique that is about to be exposed to you all is correct in saying is Cornel West being nothing more than influencing.
Well, let me finish. What does it say about the political imagination of a burgeoning left that the answer to a rising authoritarian right wing is to run another celebrity candidate, this time on the left? Yes, there are celebrities in left spaces, and I feel we are in the age of the influencer, an end of history moment where the challenge to neoliberalism is engagement with fragmented audiences masquerading as politics. Mass culture is dead. Mass politics has, of course, followed suit. What do we here at TIR make of this moment? So bigger than just the Cornel West presidency, you have a moment where you have a longtime senator running for office in Bernie Sanders against, for the most part, a man that had no political experience whatsoever in Donald Trump, that kind of takes a page out of the now late Silvio Berlusconi's book of, outrage peddling, kind of not necessarily taking the exact verbatim words out of Berlusconi's book, like I'm going to bring a new democracy in because everything is so fragmented with the corruption. But corruption was something he did run on, admitting that, well, I'm the one that paid politicians to get things done. So ergo, I know how to get things done. You saw Bolsonaro in Brazil. Also, Duterte reigns and leaves office for another potential dictator in Bongbong Marcos, whose father led a very, very bloody regime in the 70s and into the 80s. What is it about this moment right now that you think a Cornel West can feel comfortable to run for office in, Pascal?
That's a very, very good question. I think that what is intrinsic about this moment is the complete delegitimization of institutions that is taking place in the period that we call the neoliberal counter-revolution of the last 50 plus years, the 50 plus year counter-revolution, the complete gutting and hollowing of institutions by merging with the state, with the private corporation, the private public partnership, the falling apart of institutions as a consequence of the 2008 crash, the way in which state institutions have been unable to weather crisis storms like COVID, as well as other illnesses and diseases, the way in which citizens have been unable to use mass politics to mobilize any results, the distance in terms of response from our elected officials from caring about the actual condition of individuals, the way in which our society, particularly in the United States, has been so anesthetized from caring about the suffering and the immiseration of the increasingly pauperized or made poor members of our society, has turned us into a position where now, because we have cheap entertainment, we are now basically virtually streaming ourselves into oblivion. Instead of just having a few hours of TV at night, you can sit down and almost kind of like drug yourself for 12 to 6 hours of your favorite streaming over and over again. I think that people are so atomized and fractured in this age of digital entertainment, AI. I'm thinking of people putting on their goggles and going into their little virtual universes, and all of us have become so fragmented as social individuals that we trust no type of cohesion mechanisms, political mechanisms. And as a result, we want the things that tickle our little feelings. He's funny. I like Trump. He makes me laugh. Cornel says some deep stuff. Ooh, I like the way he waxes. That little poetry he does is kind of cool. Marianne Williamson. Hey, she seems so kind of hippie like. I like the vibes. So it's not about what anyone means anymore or what anyone says. It's about how they make you feel, how they make you laugh, how they tickle your fancy. Everything is a product. Those are signs of the way products are sold to people. As a result, no one's really processing what is the actual political consequence. It's all about how the product is marketed to them.
Toussaint?
Those glasses that you were talking about, those are Apple, and they let you talk to. Why'd you make me big on the screen?
I'm adjusting my microphone.
Okay. Those they let you talk to your friends. They don't keep you like sequestered all to yourself.
Well,
so they knew it. They thought ahead.
You
can do that with a phone. I mean, last I checked, that works real well. No,
I think with the phone. You're close or you're not. That's how I work. Anyway.
I mean, I talk to you on a phone.
It's true. I'm looking forward to Cornel's run. I don't know.
For the speeches?
For the speeches? He's going to say the things. And I'm looking forward to him saying the things and people getting the message in a different way.
Well, Pascal hit on this, and this is kind of the first question that or talking point that I have. And everything I'm asking right now, I'm also asking to you guys that are watching the show. We definitely are going to open up the phone lines in the champagne room because I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Ben Burgess, my friend, recently wrote a piece for Jacobin where he calls for a West run as a Democrat and to try to get on the debate stage with Joe Biden. From his article in Jacobin, West's message is vitally important to the future of American democracy, and he is a gifted messenger. If he's going to do this, he should grab the biggest megaphone available to him. That means taking on Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination. Would a West run as a Green or a Democrat be a more serious move, or is it still simply a vanity campaign? And I'll combine the second question. Can a vanity campaign like this even challenge power?
Who do you want to start with?
I'll answer.
Oh, my goodness. The lady wants to go first.
The lady wants to go first.
Take the stage, lady.
Well, I think that the People's Party campaign, that seemed more like a vanity project and more like it was doomed because it's such a new party. It doesn't have party infrastructure, only on the ballot in Florida, of all places. So that wasn't looking very good. Apparently, he's newly switching to the Green Party. That to me is a lot more serious in terms of him running a campaign where the message is first. Like I said, I'm looking forward to him saying the things we all know he's going to say. Say the things for the people. It's going to be dope. He's gonna challenge people with the things that he says. And when he presents the things, he's going to not make it safe for his competition to just sort of weasel out of what he's talking about. So yeah, I take the Green Party run a lot more seriously, considering that he's already switched parties. He may do it again and just say, you know what, I'm going to run as a Democrat now. Hey, I'm Cornel West. I do what I want.
He's treating everybody like a TA.
Why not?
Well, for me, I think what's interesting is that the Democratic Party doesn't seem to be interested in actually having a real primary for Joe Biden at all right about now. Frankly, it seems like they just want to have a coronation. From what I understand, I've read that they're not even necessarily opening up the debates to having anyone debate Biden. the way they've structured the actual primary calendar completely favors Biden, since the first state is South Carolina, which you understand what that means for Jim Clyburn and his ability to basically just hand that over to Biden as well. So the question becomes is like, what kind of Democratic primary is there even going to be for the people like Robert F. Kennedy and Marianne Williamson in the first place, who are, talking about, challenging Biden? I mean, we realize that traditionally, when you have a president who's finished one term, the norm is that he's not challenged in a primary. The last time we've had that happen was with Jimmy Carter with Ted Kennedy in 76, which did not really end up working out too well for Jimmy Carter's long-term presidential campaign. So the question thus becomes is that how exactly is the Democratic Party going to be welcoming primary challenges to Joe Biden? I see that the Democratic Party is going to do nothing but sabotage those things. I've been hearing people talking about how Gavin Newsom is even being floated as a possible. I'm hearing that from you, and
I've been saying that for over a year now. I mean, Gavin Newsom is actually trying to pass a bill to actually amend the Constitution. A gun rights bill, or not a gun registration bill that would be constitutional, and a governor trying to have a constitutional reform in an election run-up cycle with a guy that's had, for the most part, regardless of what people want to think, he's had a pretty good political record. I'm not a fan, but I don't look at this from I watch all these shows on YouTube view of things. I look at it from kind of the real world. How do people vote? How do people see people, especially political figures?
Well, first of all, Gavin Newsom was recently on Fox News, and he's not going on Fox News simply because he's trying to make himself seem appealable to Democrats. He's going on Fox News because he realizes that he might be able to use some of his talking points in a way that's appealing to people that are coming from a much more, cross match of political audience. So in terms of Cornel West, not to dance around the issue, is that when people are saying that Cornel West should run as a Democrat, the question is, how exactly is the Democratic Party going to allow anyone, not only Cornel, but anyone, to actually effectively primary Joe Biden, when, from what I'm seeing about the primary process, the Democratic Party is trying to do nothing but coronate Joe Biden and ensure that he engages as little as possible with anyone who's thinking about running against him, whether they be a Democrat or anything else. In terms of the People's Party, I agree with M. Toussaint that there was nothing that inured Cornel West to serious accolades in terms of running on the People's Party. It's a very new party, started, I believe, in 2017 by people who were disenfranchised by the way Bernie Sanders was treated. There's a lot of, alleged allegations and scandals with its founder, ranging from allegations of all types that we don't have to go into here. But the point of the matter is that I saw Cornel West answering to some of those allegations on Democracy Now! And frankly, they didn't seem particularly it didn't seem like he was really trying to bring down the hammer to come to clarity on some of those issues. So, and the fact that the People's Party is only recognized in the state of Florida, I was like, what good is that? It's not even a serious third party. The Green Party does have a much more vigorous national infrastructure. It does allow for him to be on the ballot in more states. I wish the Green Party had been able to get the required 5% voting in the last 2 election cycles that would have allowed it to expand in terms of its overall presence, but it has not been able to do so. Some people have been making the argument, though, that the running progressive candidates on the Green ticket doesn't give the same power that Bernie Sanders had in 2016 and 2020 in influencing the Democrat incumbent president to move his agenda to the left, because
Well, let me ask you that. Let me ask you that. Let's build on this for a second. The Bernie Sanders moment and the Donald Trump moment in 2016 is an extremely important moment in American politics because there is a bit of a political awakening in this moment that we don't get in 2008. And the language has changed, right? Can we all agree, even people, watching, that language has changed a bit, right? And a lot of things happened since 2016, right? The shelter in place orders that happened, ad nauseum, police killings and vigilante killings. Now we're seeing a slight uptick in these vigilante killings. But all these things forced some major policy changes, right? Or at least rhetorically, right? When you're running someone like Cornel West, that's pretty much an online thing because he's not going to get the national media attention that someone like Donald Trump got because he's not that insane of a figure. Tucker Carlson's gone off TV. His 8 o'clock slot is gone. A Tucker Carlson Twitter interview is not going to be the same thing as Tucker Carlson on Fox News with Cornel West. Are we too fragmented now in this era of mass politics to even really consider someone like Cornel West or Marianne Williamson having a very serious run for office? I mean, Bernie Sanders is running within, like you said, the infrastructure of the Democratic Party. So he was able to capture the hearts and minds of some people that might have been mildly disaffected.
Well, I think that the Bernie Sanders moment is a culmination of many very, very serious things. The disaffection with the economy and the suffering of people by the 2008 crash. The disaffection with the Democratic Party because they were perceived to be the more harsh steward of the shift to neoliberal capitalism under the Clintons and even Obama.
Mm-hmm.
That gave Bernie a lot of ammunition to come in on their watch and criticize them and have them be shot. People who were young, who didn't remember having all these glorious attachments to the Kennedys and Bill Clinton in 92 were like, they shipped the jobs out of Michigan and caused, the people and their families to be on opioids.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have that kind of affection to the Democratic Party. The stain of neoliberalism is still attached to Democrats. When people say neoliberals, now they think Democrats. They don't think Republicans. Right? There's a lot of people who don't realize that wasn't the case for many years in this country. So Bernie Sanders helps that happen. But what happens in 2016 also is we have the rise of Trump. We came to a dialectic, which is basically a fancy word for competing two interests, and you would analyze how they affect each other. We had left-wing populism, and we had the illusion of right-wing populism,
mm-hmm.
or the charade of right-wing populism. All right, the charade of right-wing populism won. And I got to tell you something. In all of my life watching politics, and I've been watching politics since I was a kid in this country, the only thing I ever saw Democrats scared of and Republicans scared of was the rise of the charade of right-wing populism in Donald Trump. The corporate Republicans, like the old guard blue bloods, like the Bushes,
mm-hmm.
they went berserk about the rise of Trump and what he was doing to their party. The Democrats were like, the F word, the fascist word was everywhere
mm-hmm.
about Trump. The perception that they actually had brought to the consciousness of the non-Trump MAGA world was literally an incarnation of Trump-like Mussolini in America was coming.
Mm-hmm.
That was the messaging. And let us not, whether we believe it or not is irrelevant. That messaging is being recycled again in the face of DeSantis and what's going on in the red states. So whether or not we try to believe here at TR that we are intellectually above being swayed by the rhetoric, I don't think that we can deny that there are large swaths of this country who see the yes, there was a competition between left populism and the charade of right populism. Right populism won, and to see the specter of right populism as everything must be to stop that from taking power. That is Darth Vader. That is the evil empire.
Yeah. Well, okay. Again, with no mass politics and it's just mass popularity, do both parties would they prefer to kind of run more traditional, boring candidates like DeSantis and Gavin Newsom and have an extremely low voter turnout?
You know, that's a really great question, Jason, because I got to tell you right now, I live in Florida. DeSantis is only boring because he's not Trump, but the stuff he's doing is not boring. It's kind of some wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's not in, like his personality is clearly not charming, but this cat, I know we are tired of the F word, the fascist word. Mm-hmm. I think we all are. The thing that disturbs the traditional corporate Democrat about DeSantis is that Trump is too undisciplined to be a good fascist. DeSantis doesn't have that problem.
I don't think Trump really understands what anything is.
Yeah, I don't think Trump has a politics besides his own ego. Mm-hmm. I think Trump's politics is his ego.
But it works though. It's kind of like that Berlusconi moment where, hey, my ego is going to be a political moment, and it kind of is.
Right. But what's fascinating is that there are people in the Republican Party who are not like the old guard Bush types, who are even tired of the Trump mania. They're like, Trump is too manic, give him his meds or whatever. He's just too much mania with Trump. We need something more stable. And they're really well. The guy who used to own Callin, he's big into Ron DeSantis, the billionaire. What's his name? The guy who owned Callin.
Is that why he won't let us have a show?
I don't know. But
he's always on Jason's mind.
Oh, dude, I'm so hurt.
That dude is a big DeSantis guy. I was shocked to find that out. I was like, there are tech billionaires who are supporting Ron DeSantis. They take that guy because he seems. I mean, DeSantis is doing things that doesn't even seem like it fits in the normal order of capitalist Republicans. Like in Florida, people talk about immigration laws in Florida, but people know that like 3/4 of the industry in the state can't survive without undocumented workers. The food, who's going to pick the tomatoes? Who's going to do? I mean, there's so much construction. DeSantis signed bills that literally make all of those people like afraid to work in Florida. That's affecting massive amounts of business. Construction can't happen. Food picking can't happen. How do you do that in Florida?
I mean, you already have some serious problems with construction, and wasn't it Florida where those buildings were collapsing on people because of the shoddy what do you call those people that check buildings out? Building inspections.
That's true.
Yeah.
That was
which has been privatized. A lot of that stuff is privatized. Building inspection, which kind of shocked me when I found that.
Yeah, DeSantis presents a threat to many people on various horizons, and I think that there are elements of him that are obviously not as entertaining or as charming as Trump, but I wouldn't call him boring because I think that the kind of effectiveness that he has in passing legislation presents a nuanced type of danger to people to his left that I don't think that we have seen before, because you don't know what kind of quirky nonsense this guy's going to try to pass. And this guy passed a bill in Florida. You don't need any kind of gun licensing to carry a weapon in the state of Florida.
I saw that.
No permits.
I saw that. And what's interesting about him and Newsom is they do get certain things passed, right? Because if they're going to run against each other, you have to have proof in the pudding. And I think people that are watching this show right now haven't seen a presidential election between governors, and they don't even know what that's like to watch governors run and fight about what they've done and how their states look.
Right.
At best, they saw a guy that was one of only 3 presidents out of 46, right? 46 presidents we got right now. Biden's 46.
Yeah.
That went from the Senate to the White House directly. 3. Harding, Kennedy, and Obama. So, that's a whole different kind of election. You kind of have to have, well, I did this and my state did X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah.
By de facto, it becomes more substantive.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about this moment, and I've written about this, kind of gets into the idea of politics as a lifestyle brand. Because there's nothing substantive about Cornel West running for office. A guy that's, I don't even know if he's, been head of crossing guards more or less than a military or a police force.
Well, he doesn't have a substantive right. He can critique the best he can do is offer critiques.
Do you see what Paul Prescott said?
The governor's running equals nerds.
Well, let me ask a question, because Pascal, you mentioned the DeSantis versus gruesome Newsom. I mean, I haven't even heard anybody match them up together, and it feels like we might never see this matchup. I feel like there's a few things I can count on the Democrats to do, and one of them is to be undemocratic.
Say it again for the people.
There's a few things I can count on the Democrats to do, and one of them is to be undemocratic. So I wonder if they really are going to shut down debates. And isn't Biden going to need a running mate? He's not going to keep Kamala. Somebody has to debate somebody.
Do you think Joe Biden is going to anger the whole black political class and dump Kamala Harris?
Do you think that many black political figures are really behind Kamala Harris?
Do you think they matter that much?
We got
some other people waiting in the wings.
They matter in South Carolina. Listen. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why they matter. When the Republican is scary racist white man, you need those black people to come out in North Carolina.
But do you really think Eric Adams is falling behind Kamala Harris or the party line?
Eric Adams.
He's falling. Eric Adams, by the way, Eric Adams is in a safe state for
sure.
Biden.
But still, I mean, that's the first black, mayor I could think of. I'm sure there's a few more out there. But I mean, really, who would try to fight back if it wasn't Kamala Harris?
Hakeem Jeffries.
Good answer. We're
gonna go with Hakeem Jeffries.
And the survey says
there's a lot. Let me tell you something. As a person who's a member of one of these petite bourgeois Negro organizations, they are very invested in Kamala Harris.
Gross.
They are very, very, very invested in Kamala Harris. They see all of their vapid symbolism and aspirate. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep y'all 100 with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
There has not been a president since maybe FDR who has marshaled a underground cabinet of these black fraternity sorority Negroes on his leash as tightly as Joe Biden. Joe Biden got these Negroes on the spot, on the phone, the direct line, fat back and biscuits, well broiled, sauteed, coming out. Rosemary sauce and the whole nine.
Can you read this? Can you read this in the
Kamala today, Kamala
in the George Wallace voice?
Kamala today, Kamala tomorrow,
Kamala forever.
Horrible.
Oh my God, that's funny.
We have a super chat.
What is it?
Did Pascal just pull out the purple parasol and scold us plebeians? I'm not scolding.
He's not scolding.
I'm just saying, listen. The Fatback and Biscuits Divine Nine Brigade is very, very in tune with Kamala Harris. They're very invested in it. Let me tell you something. I'm going to admit a mistake that I made. I underestimated.
That white woman?
I underestimated how much the black political class would have been invested in Kamala Harris, as goofy as she looks almost all the time.
Almost all
the time. But they are still very invested. And what I did underestimate more so than that is how she was able to marshal Biden's administration into a network of influence using these Divine Nine, not only the fraternities and sororities, the links, the secret societies, all of the girlfriends, all of these petite bourgeois, the Freemasons, all of these petite bourgeois black organizations that are the ideological superstructure that governs black politics. Biden has been, this is what it is. Barack Obama didn't have to pay attention to those Negroes because they genuflected to him out of the belief that he was the savior, our first black president. Biden, because he didn't have that credibility, has been able to marshal them to his allegiance. And let's not forget, in the age of George Floyd, when that diversity, equity, and inclusion, fatback and corporate biscuits was coming down, if you don't think there was some deals that were made around the side that were put together with some winks and nods, but folks were getting contracts because of their affiliation with certain places and foundations within the Democratic Party, you're sleeping.
Why do you think so many self-proclaimed socialists and leftists are so entrenched in political rhetoric, but and also, not much political action outside of just a spectacle? Like a lot, let's be honest, this show.
Come on, Jason, you know the answer to that.
Look, we got more views on this show than we've had on a lot of the other shows, especially the history shows or the global politics shows. The chat is moving extremely fast. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got something to say. Someone's not far left enough. You're not radical enough. But what does it really say? Kind of the original question. What does it say about the political imagination?
You really don't know the answer to that question, Jason?
I want to hear you.
Because we're dealing with a constituency of people who have no expectation of having power.
Here, I'm going to make you big when you say that. That didn't sound right.
Ooh.
We're dealing with
Hey.
a constituency of people on the left who have no real expectation of having power. That's why rhetoric is so important.
Maybe a little power.
You want to get ratioed, buddy? I can make all the mentions about you suck. How you like that, Mr. Man?
7% of the country's on Twitter. Unbelievable.
And
where are we all on?
I mean, seriously, what does that really say? So you think it's just a lack of power?
It's not a lack of power, Jason. None of us believe. Well, first of all, number one, most of us are dishonest enough to admit that most of us wouldn't know how to wield the power even if we got it. Number one. Number two, a lot of us, there's a whole faction of us who are saying we shouldn't even want the power because the only thing we should want is a revolution and burn everything down. That's another thing. There's another faction of us that believe that if we try to work with the power and reform things, we're selling out.
Isn't Medicare for all a reform?
And that's what I'm saying.
Say it again.
No, really, say it again. Say it again.
Yeah.
But my point is that there's a large faction of the left who will tell you that you're just a reformist. As their grandmamas collecting Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid.
What if that bitch had a pension?
Whoa. What about that?
What about?
Thank you for the super sticker, Tammy T.
Thank you, Tammy T. I like to think Tammy T is Tammy Terrell.
Tammy T comes to us from the Katie Halper show.
Oh, shout out.
Katie Halper show.
She's also a Greek.
She's also beef?
Black Greek.
Oh,
she's black. She's Greek as well.
That's what you call them, a black.
Well, I mean, because I find it's weird. Black and Greek, like, what's going on? But she says, as a member of the Divine Nine, DST, who made polite observations of Kamala Harris, I can't even have conversations with my fellow Greeks.
You know what really sucks about these people, MT? They never teach you the fucking handshakes.
I
was at my friend's wedding, and he was in the frat, and his dad was in the frat, and then he married a woman that was in a sorority. I guess there's like sister sororities, right?
Yeah.
So he married a woman as a sister. So there's a whole procedural thing. And then me and the other dude in the wedding that wasn't in the frat had to like sit out. I felt so hurt. The secret shit that goes on with you people.
I mean, it defines them as a group. If they can keep you out.
There you go. That's why Pascal.
The non-Jason group.
Pascal killed the Bernie Sanders movement.
How?
You and the Black Greeks and your secret handshake.
Black Greeks. Paul Prescott says that he is the proud resident social democrat on this show.
All right.
Someone said Giannis is the only Black Greek he recognizes.
I'm further left than you, Paul. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, I'm further left than you there, Prescott. Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. Take that.
Like, what's the Democratic Socialist version of fatback and biscuits? Like, you know, what are they like? What does he want? What does Paul Prescott want? Like, you know,
turkey bacon and
shortbread. Some Lorna Doones.
Sorry. We were all serious like all week. We were serious all week. Serious on Sunday. We were serious when we were trying to figure this out.
We're still serious. We're still serious.
Still Dylan Baxter. Did you see what Dylan Baxter just wrote? Can you put that on?
What are you saying?
Can you put it on the screen?
Whoever
Okay.
Dylan Baxter, you are been listening for a minute. If you remembered that show, the show we did with Frenchie Pascal, where we played that woman.
Oh my gosh!
Here we go. Shrimp from Long John Silver's and a rectum full of sperm. That is a callback, if I've ever heard one. Oh my gosh. All right, so we're not
What
serious.
episode was that called? What was that called? I want people to watch
The
that.
traumatizing one.
The one where we played that clip.
Yes.
That was one of the funniest and like most informative shows we've ever done.
This is a show at Frenchie.
What was it called though?
Oh, it was too much.
It was our Valentine's special.
I mean, she started the show off holding a giant dildo.
She's awesome. Can't wait to talk to her again.
She was too much for me.
Pascal was sweating like a hooker in church.
He had the parasol and a fan.
Someone said, what was the episode where Jason learned the word bussy?
Well, wait, there was the episode where Pascal learned about furries.
That's true.
What was funny is that he was like calling us after the whole thing was over. Like, is that real?
People really do that?
That's why I kind of laugh when people like get mad that we don't do certain things. Like, why don't you guys blah blah blah? It's like, dude, we did a whole bit on me finding out what a bussy is. You watching the same show I'm watching, everybody?
We watching the same show over here.
I think we're watching a different show over here. But I am happy that we get to have these inside jokes at a moment where Tucson has been worried about me. So I've been down this rabbit hole of frustration.
Of right-wing news. Friends don't let friends watch CBN.
Now everybody is quoting that episode. Eric W.
Man. No. Y'all are terrible.
These episodes are literally why I'm single.
Oh, that's why.
That's why.
I think.
Oh, you have a podcast?
I think between me and 2 Cent, we can think of a whole lot of why you're single.
A couple more reasons.
I mean, yes, someone's bringing up the whole zesty. I had to erase the script from last week. And as I was writing it, I fell out laughing again because I was like, man, I can't believe that they did that to me right before we went on.
Hey, man, you put it in caps, too. And it was just like, what's going on? This is a little... It's a little nervous. The virtual Jonathan says, still requesting a Varn crossover on better music than nu metal. Leftist genres, i.e. crust, grind, power violence.
You really want 8 people to watch, and then Jonathan. Jonathan, I don't know if I would do just an episode about that, but I just want you to know, at least once a month, someone leaves a comment about how much they hate the intro music. At least once a month. So to do a whole show about music that's more extreme than the very tame intro music. Because if you listen to the show for a long time, I used to open up with like non-instrumental Bitter Lake songs. that was stuck with like a scream vocal. So, you know, today, I don't know. I will figure something out as Ben and I actually have a plan to go up north and do some live stuff with some metal dudes, some thrash metal dudes that you would probably know. I won't say names right now, but yeah. So interesting stuff is coming your way in that vein, but probably not exactly a whole show dedicated to it. But we'll be hitting in those more extreme genres. If that helps.
Someone is requesting Creedence Clearwater Revival. Get this thing back on track. Creedence Clearwater Revival.
We doing old Satina Turner now?
That's right.
So let's get ready to go into the champagne room as it's late. And thank you. Someone says intro music is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that because every month I have to see someone basically tell me to go F myself. And then you know my response.
Taco meat. Just more and
Put
more
it in your
taco
mouth
meat.
and suck it.
Jesus.
That's my response every time.
Oh man.
But seriously, I want to hear what you guys have to say. There was a lot of people watching the show. And I'm sure a lot of you have your own opinions about this moment. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think? Is there really? Are we in a moment of no mass culture, no mass politics? Or are we just a bunch of podcasters sniffing our own farts? Let us know. Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it?
That's awesome. Tucson, if you were here right now, I'd just so hug you for making that a screen comment.
Aww. Read it.
If it's any consolation, I found the show through Bitter Lake.
Yay. Our audio listeners can enjoy this comment as well.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I got to have a mini Bitter Lake reunion. The black guys of Bitter Lake got together. Me and Nick Young. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. But on that note, we're going to go to the champagne room. I think we're going to take a quick break. We'll be there in probably 10 minutes. You guys take a quick break. We're going to open up phone lines. We're not going to be there long. But I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. I feel like Dave from Jamaica is going to call.
All right, Dave.
And if Dave from Jamaica calls, then me and Tucson can work out our bit that we did based on Dave from Jamaica.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I believe that all of those people from the mid-90s are the same guy.
Man.
And they are Dave from Jamaica. Super Cat, Mad Lion. It's all Dave from Jamaica.
All Dave from Jamaica. He's a very talented man.
And I wouldn't know those guys if they bit me in the ass. So, that being said, we are
out.
Out.